Risi here, and let's get right into talking hockey. Alright guys, before we get into today's video, I actually just want you guys to leave a comment down below to ask you, who do you think won this trade? I know it's a hard question to answer right now, but everyone has opinions and I'm really curious to know who you think won this trade, whether it be Winnipeg acquiring Pierre-Luc Dubois, or if it be Columbus acquiring Patrik Laine and Roslovic. Let me know who you think won the trade down below, and we'll get right into the video. Alright guys, welcome back to the channel. Thanks for clicking on the thumbnail, and let's just get right into the trade that happened about 2 weeks ago. So the trade essentially was Pierre-Luc Dubois plus a third-round pick that Columbus traded to Winnipeg, and Winnipeg traded back to Columbus Patrik Laine and Roslovic. So that was kind of how the trade happened, and there's a lot of interesting things that happened since then. So in Canada, where I live, there's actually a more strict quarantine rules. So essentially, Pierre-Luc Dubois hasn't even played a game yet in Winnipeg. He's still going through that quarantine phase, and he'll actually be playing in, well, maybe it's going to be this week. I don't know if it's been confirmed yet. We'll check a little bit later on in the video. But the interesting thing that happened is actually on the Columbus side, where Patrik Laine went. So let's dive into it. So this is Roto World. Roto World is very good when it comes to stats, as well as covers, as well as a lot of other sites. Everyone uses whichever one they prefer. For me, I like Roto World when it comes to a lot of information when it comes to players. So Laine played 4 games now for Columbus. Last night, they actually won their game. Let's go here into the scores from yesterday. They actually won their game in regulation time, and if you saw my previous video, winning in regulation this year is crucial. The teams that are going to make it to the playoffs are going to be the teams that won the most amount of games in regulation. Interesting note here is that actually it was Roslovic who got the game-winning goal, and we're going to get into that because it is pertinent when it comes to the trade. So in that game last night, as we could see here, Laine only played 11 minutes and 14 seconds. He was a -1. Now, I didn't see exactly the play that happened, but apparently this -1 that he got, he wasn't back checking or something happened, and the coach of Columbus, Tortorella, did not like it. Tortorella, hate him or love him, he's a very hard coach, old school. He doesn't care if he benches you. Pierre-Luc Dubois, before he got traded, he actually only played like 3 or 4 minutes in his last game in Columbus, and then they shipped him away after that. Laine scored 3 goals in 4 games, which is not bad. One of these against Carolina, I think, was a game-winning goal. He's only got, he got 2 penalties of 2 minutes, and he scored 1 on the power play. His ice time started off at 21 minutes, which is really high, although he was a -2 this game, that first game. Ice time went down. He scored a goal. Ice time went back up when he scored 2 goals, 1 on the power play, and then the last night happened. So he only had 11 minutes of ice time, and he was a -1. He has 3 points in total. Now I just want to show you Roslovic. So he was part of the same package. So he joined the Columbus Blue Jackets at the same time, and his numbers tell you a very different story. So he's actually a +1 if you take the -1 +2. So in his 4 games, he's a +1. He has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 points in 4 games, and he was kind of a throw-in in the trade. Now, I don't always want to talk about the Habs, but when the Habs did trade Pacioretty to the Vegas Golden Knights, and in return we got Nick Suzuki, a 2nd-round pick, and Thomas Tatar, who was a throw-in. Thomas Tatar ended up being one of our most consistent and best points producers. He's actually on pace, or he actually surpassed Pacioretty in terms of total point output from the time that trade happened up until today. If you look at what Pacioretty's getting paid compared to what Tatar's getting paid, and what we're also getting from Nick Suzuki and the 2nd-round pick that we got, not to say winners or losers in terms of trades, but we'll leave it at that for now. So the interesting thing about actually Roslovic is that he was a throw-in in this trade, and he's actually out producing Laine after these couple of games, and his ice time is actually going up. Now, this 21 minutes and 36 seconds that he accumulated last night has to do in part with Patrik Laine being benched, but there was also a few other players that got benched on this game, which is how John Tortorella rolls, I guess you could say. So time on ice, Grigorenko got actually less time than Laine got 11-14. Grigorenko got 10-57. Alex Tessier, who I want to jump into a little bit after as well, only got 9 minutes and 38 seconds. And Kukin only got 5 minutes and 57 seconds. It's insane what's happening in Columbus. As I said in my video yesterday, I think they are missing certain something this year in order to actually be contenders. But they did win this game against Carolina, who I think are one of the better teams in the division. Now, just going back a little bit in terms of Columbus, I mean, we all know, or may or may not know, that they did beat Tampa Bay. They swept them 2 years ago. And in my opinion, that's actually what propelled Tampa Bay to win the whole league last year. They won the Stanley Cup. So 2 years ago, Tampa Bay gets swept in the first round by Columbus. They were by far the favorites to win the cup that year. First round of the playoffs, they lose 4 games in a row. They were actually winning the first game. Columbus comes back. They beat them in game 1. They beat them in game 2. They beat them in game 3. And they beat them in game 4. Series over. Columbus moves on. Tampa Bay is out. Last year, Tampa Bay made a lot of changes. We had the trade deadline. They brought in Coleman. Who else did they bring in? I forgot his name, but they brought in another piece that was actually, man, what's his name? It's not coming to me now, but he was very important in their win last year. I'm still trying to think of his name. It's going to come eventually. Yeah, so I mean, essentially Columbus, all that to say is that Columbus has a good team. Arguably, they're well coached, but I don't know, man. This year, I just don't think they're going to make it. Like I said in the previous video, Dallas, they're going to creep up, and I believe they're going to make it. And I think Columbus is going to be the team that doesn't. If you just look from purely points percentage perspective, 53.6%, they're well below. They're actually lower than Chicago. They've just played that one extra game, so which is why they're above Chicago in the standings. So we'll have to wait and see what happens. I said I wanted to get into Tessier as well. Tessier, him and Domi are 2 players that I want to get into today. Domi, former Habs player. When the trade was made for Josh Anderson coming our way and Max Domi going the other way, the very first thing I said when the trade happened is that I don't know how Domi's going to cope with Tortorella. I just don't think it's a fit, and it hasn't really been a fit all year. It took him 3 games in order to get his first point. He got a point in 2 straight. 2 games pointless, then he got a goal, which this one was a nice goal. He then got 3 games pointless, then an assist, then a goal, and now the last game he was pointless. His average time on ice is about 15 minutes, which is respectable. It's not low, it's not high, but it's not enough. He was supposed to be the number 1 center, and I think he's actually now playing on the wing. He's actually bouncing around in terms of where he's playing. So he is listed as center on here. He was playing with Tessier a bit. But now this whole Roslovic and Laine trade really shook things up in Columbus. If it's for the better or worse, I mean, we'll only know once the season is over. On the flip side, what Winnipeg acquired was Pierre-Luc Dubois. So Dubois is a big body, power forward, plays a very good two-way game. He's a force to be reckoned with. He's a superstar in the making. Last year, he actually led the Columbus Blue Jackets in points, which take it how you want it. After 70 games, he got 49 points, which is not a crazy point production, but on a Columbus team that didn't really have a lot of firepower after really downsizing their team once they swept Tampa Bay the year before. They kind of went all in for Tampa Bay. They had got Panarin that year, then they traded him away. Bobrovsky too was gone after that. So he was a points leader last year for Columbus. He's young. I mean, he was born in 1998, so he's 22 years old. He was a player that a lot of teams wanted to go out and get. And the trade, actually, the one that happened with Winnipeg and Columbus between the one that we're talking about today, you could argue that it's going to be a win-win for both teams going forward because of the needs that it fills for both teams. Winnipeg needed a center. In my opinion, they actually need defense more than they needed a center, but they yeah, you see after Pionk and Morrissey, there's really a big fall off in terms of quality of defense. All-world goalie in Hellebuck, hopefully he could keep it up this year. Dubois has not yet played a game for Columbus. Very important to say, because we're never going to know how this trade plays out up until he plays. We have to know how he's going to gel with the rest of the team. This was the last game I was mentioning before. He played under 4 minutes that game. I'm sure you've seen the videos on Twitter about the effort that he gave in on his last shift that ended in under 4 minutes of ice time. Not a good look for him. He made it clear at the beginning of the year that he wanted out, and the last shift that he put on the ice against Tampa Bay, it was clear as day that he was done with this hockey team. 2 days later, the trade happened, and here we are today. Alright guys, thanks for making it this far into the video. I know during the video I said that I wasn't going to make any predictions on who won, who lost the trade. I just want to give this piece of information is we're not really going to know who won or lost the trade up until we know if Patrik Laine re-signs with the Blue Jackets or if he gets traded at the trade deadline or at the end of the season, and what he gets traded for. If he re-signs on a fairly team-friendly contract, he does have the potential to be a 50 goal scorer in a regular 82 game season. He's that skilled. Like, he has a shot, and he has the hockey IQ in order to get that puck in the back of the net. But we're not going to know exactly what's going to happen up until that decision has been made. In my opinion, Pierre-Luc Dubois is going to be re-signing with the Winnipeg Jets. They have a very good top six, even though they lost two of their top six, being Roslovic and Laine. But I really do believe that they have a lot of quality in their top six. They, in my opinion, just need to revamp their defense in order to be a really solid top-to-bottom hockey team. So we'll revisit this trade at the end of the year once Dubois actually plays a game with the Winnipeg Jets to see how he fits in, how he gels. In my opinion, it's still too early to call a winner or a loser, as most trades go. You're only going to know a few years down the line. But this does have the early makings of the Winnipeg Jets winning this trade, especially because before even Dubois played a game, Laine's on the other side getting benched by his new coach. We'll have to see going forward. So thank you again for watching today's video. The comments should be working down below, so if they are, I hope they are, let me know who you think won this trade. If you have any video ideas that you want me to get into, whether it be like another trade that happened, I'm not really going to get into the speculation. I'm really only going to comment on trades that did happen. I'm not going to put things out there or anything like that. Or if there's a specific team you want me to do a deep dive in, a team that you might be interested in, whether it be because they are your favorite team or if you think they're on the cusp, are they going to make it, are they not going to make it, we could definitely do a deep dive on any NHL hockey team except for the Seattle Kraken because they don't exist yet. So that's it guys, thanks for watching the video, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care.